Here's a special video where we read the answer as given by Sherlock Holmes. So this is separate from all the other parts of our episode, all the way up to where we answer the questions. So Christopher is going to read the answers as Sherlock Holmes gives them.
It's true.
Christopher, go ahead and read the solution as from Holmes's point of view.
It actually just says opium and cocks.
Okay.
All right. We have gathered at 221B Baker Street with Dr. Watson, Charlie Chaplin, and the jovial-looking Holmes. We are waiting for Wiggins' arrival. Our wait is short-lived. We've barely settled into our seats when the door opens before Daniel Oliver, solidly held by Wiggins at Holmes' request. I'm sorry, Wiggins. I do realize that I'm ruining your chance of breaking into theater. I was even curious to see how you would have portrayed me. Despite his large smile, Holmes' excuses are sincere. That's nothing, Mr. Holmes. There will be other plays, says Wiggins starkly. He pushes Oliver with a bit more strength than is necessary and forces him to sit in the rattan chair. That's how it's pronounced.
No.
By what right?
It was how you said forces him to say. Forces him.
Keep going.
Get down into the chair.
By what right do you hold me here?
Stop.
Demands Oliver. Yes, Holmes, I'd like to hear the answer to that question. Inspector Lestrade is standing in Holmes' living room doorway. Come in, Inspector. Holmes crosses the room, takes Lestrade's coat, and seats him in a chair in front of Oliver. Inspector, allow me to introduce you to William Razor's killer, Mr. Daniel Oliver. Oliver! Really? Without a doubt, Inspector. This case was offering us a pretty setup from the start, a shot which could be heard by all. The shout of a woman, a man leaning over a body, pistol still smoking in hand, a quality second act, but a melodrama which doesn't match reality. Young Chaplin had no motive, no reason to kill Mr. Razor. In the end, we have to rely on the facts to draw our conclusion. The facts! What do you mean? What do you call the fact that Chaplin was near the corpse with the murder weapon in hand? Inspector, did you not read the report of your criminologist? Razor wasn't killed with the Webley found in Chaplin's hand. Just that should be enough to lift your suspicions. And the extra proof found in Razor's dressing room clearly allows us to establish the trappings used to kill him, as it's really a magic trick. The proof? What proof? Asked Lestrade, irritated. The broken watch chain, the traces of powder on the wall, and the nail in the bed, declares Holmes. Holmes! Inspector Lestrade shakes his head, but before he can say more, Holmes continues. Follow my reasoning, Lestrade. If a theory cannot explain all of the proof, then that theory isn't valid. My theory is that Razor was killed before Chaplin came into the room. He was shot, then placed on his bed. Good job. Holmes heads to the blackboard, covered with a cotton sheet. He pulls off the sheet, revealing a sketch of the crime scene. It's just dicks and swastikas. The revolver was tied to the bed, held by the nail, slid into the trigger guard. The barrel turned towards the wall. The chain of Razor's watch was then tied to the trigger and the pistol loaded. A sheet hid everything. Then Chaplin comes into the room and turns over Razor's body. The chain pulls the trigger, the blank is fired, causing the presence of powder on the wall, and the chain breaks. Chaplin, thinking that Razor is alive and has shot himself, instinctively reacts and takes the weapon from him. In the confusion, Razor's body falls to the floor. The scene is set for our first witness, Miss Boraine, who ends the scene with a cry of horror. Says Lestrade, who is obviously starting to seriously consider Holmes' scenario. You've set up a well-thought-out trap, Mr. Oliver. The man remained quiet during all of Holmes' demonstration. But you chose the wrong character, didn't you? Nothing of what you've said proves my implications in this matter, shouts Oliver irritably. I think I can find enough proof here. Holmes turns the blackboard over. On the other side, a map of the theater is drawn in chalk. Holmes pulls out his notebook from his pocket, opens it, places it on his right hand, and resumes. I compared the testimonies of the actors and of the theater personnel, and I managed to determine the sequence of events.
Oh, bullshit!
As you know...
That was if you
Hold on,
did
hold on.
all the actors.
No, hold on, keep going.
Sherlock Holmes, you are so full of shit.
Okay, keep going, because it tells you how Holmes
I
solved-
object. No, he says he talked to all the
Okay,
personnel.
hold on.
Sherlock
Just
can
keep
eat a
going,
bag
keep
of
going,
dicks.
keep going.
I compare the testimonies of the actors, not all the actors, just the real ones. As you know, Lestrade, Brian Smith, the doorman, stop doing that, has a journal of arrivals and departures from the theater. The main doors are closed when the theater isn't open, and the only open entrance the day of the murder was the artist's entrance where Mr. Smith is on watch. Exactly, confirms Lestrade. Oliver remains silent, but a disdainful smile furtively appears on his scowling but attentive face. Let's examine what we know. Oliver was in his office at 11:45, which is confirmed by his secretary. It's precisely at that time that Francis Stanley went out for lunch, leaving Oliver alone in the administrative wing of the theater. Oliver then left his office with his hat, his coat, and his bag. Holmes now starts talking directly to Oliver. You went down the stairs and reached Razor's dressing room by using the exit corridor. There, you pulled a compressed air weapon from your bag and killed William Razor. Ridiculous, shouts Oliver. You have no proof. All in good time, Mr. Oliver. All in good time. And the time is now. Holmes continues to talk to Oliver as he details his path. After having killed Razor, you set up your trap. You then left via the corridor. Miss Boraine hears your footsteps, but believes it's Razor going into his dressing room. You come down the stairs into a trap room, going through the dimmer room and the lounge, where you stop to make a phone call. Ryder, the janitor, saw you using the telephone. There's no harm in that, says Oliver, in a somewhat less assured voice. We'll see, says Holmes. You called the person you wanted to frame, Nicola Sabellini. Pretending to be Razor, you asked him to come see you in your dressing room. But Sabellini's lunch had just been brought to him, so he asked young Chaplin to warn Razor that he'd be late. You didn't stay there to make sure that your prey was the right one. You left the theater so that you'd have an alibi when your trap closed. You have no proof, says Oliver calmly. You mean the murder weapon? The one you certainly threw into the Thames as you went home? Oh, right, where it says in the newspaper that they discard stuff in the Thames. You're very good at telling stories, but none of this holds up. Holmes opens the door to the bedroom and a man comes out. Yes, that's him, gentlemen, he says while pointing at Oliver. Oliver's face blanches all of a sudden. Holmes turns to Lestrade. Goff here is an armorer, and he just happens to have sold a compressed air pistol to Mr. Oliver. You, of course, still have this weapon to hand over to the police to clear yourself. All of this is ridiculous. I will contact my lawyer. Lestrade gets up, tosses his cigarette in the fireplace, and sets himself in front of Oliver with a carnivorous smile. Yeah, I have no idea who this... He's not in there. You're gonna look for Goff, comma,
No.
armorer?
Hold on.
Or armorer Goff? He's not in there. Before that, we'll go over all of the elements together. Come with me to the station. I might need you later, Holmes.
Gunsmith.
For a little in and out. Little fancy tickle on the bottom. After Lestrade and Oliver's departure, Holmes pours each of us a glass of port, with the exception of Charlie, who instead gets a hot cocoa. We make a toast to the resolution of this new case. Why would he have done that, Mr. Holmes? I think his motive was of financial nature, but I learned along the years that by looking too hard for a motive, one's attention becomes scattered, and it can be a hindrance to the resolution of a case, except at the end of this game, when you have to know the motive for points. Sometimes all that's needed is to pull on the thread for the truth to come out, and also a cock.
All right, so
That's a zipper. And that's something we all can enjoy.
Can we? I mean, I can.
I really hope that was recording.
Holmes-
I didn't know.
So here's what happened. Holmes solved the case in 8 leads. Newgate, Old Bailey, which is I don't think a place that we went to.
No, it is because that's where we talked to the Sydney.
Okay, that's where we talked to Celine. Then we went to Murray, 22 SW.
Murray.
22 SW is not a place that we went to.
No.
Drury Lane Theater.
Yep.
Theater, he talked to Bahrain, Razor's room, and the janitor. He went to Punch and Judy. Wait a second. Punch and Judy, yeah. Then Armorer Goff. For this investigation, the lead of Graham Betancourt.
is free.
69 is free. Don't count it when tallying your score.
I don't think we ever.
We never went to Betancourt.
Okay, so good job, guys. What's our score? 20?
We got 50 points.
50 points.
So the
Hooray.
score to beat is 100. So we got 50 points.
So that
Is an F.
is a failure. That is an absolute failure. Sherlock Holmes kills us, steals our power, then throws our power in the Thames because that's where you dump stuff.
That's all we've learned is that our power is dumped in the Thames.
What is a compressed air pistol?
It's the question that we should have asked. How could he have been shot with something that was silent?
Yeah.
That is a good question we could have asked. Armorer Golf 28WC.
Now, finding out which armorer it would have been
Yeah, that's the thing.
is the thing.
But we never did go to
It just seems like Sherlock Holmes
Punch
was...
and Judy.
Aha! That guy!
So
I think
so at
Golf was
Punch,
the only one in there.
We were going to go to Punch and
we
Judy,
were
but
planning on
didn't.
going to Punch and Judy, and we decided not to. And from there, Sherlock Holmes went to Armorer Golf, which is
Well, I kept saying let's go to Punch and Judy.
I know, and we kept diverting.
We both kept, and then
We kept
we got
leaning
sidetracked.
towards it, and then we would get sidetracked. But
I think it was the voices, really, or maybe it was the opium.
Well, also the problem was that we're trying to be entertaining
yeah,
and not trying to actually solve it.
I was trying to
I
solve
didn't
a
even know that.
case.
I didn't even know that if we go to too many places or do too many things, that we get points marked off.
If
I had no idea.
I had
Yeah.
no clue that was a thing.
Okay, I could have explained that better in the beginning, but we just kind of started playing. And
I thought it was just, hey, let's do this shit.
I mean,
Yeah.
Topher didn't even know we started, apparently.
A good thing he read the whole newspaper.
That-
Yeah,
huh?
right?
Well,
Yeah,
Yeah, then we latched onto the opium jokes and whatnot, like immediately.
yeah. We found the place.
And we kept trying to go to places. That
Well,
didn't-
that's the show, everybody.
All right.
50 points.
I can't find. Apparently, air pistols in real life are. It's just like your
Airsoft.
Airsoft. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all there. He killed it with an airsoft pistol.